life.
Most defeats are victories, and I truly believe an instance of this.
We are Americans. God bless you and thank you.
Welcome and welcome one and all to the 100th anniversary of Tau Kappa Epsilon.
Frauders, welcome and thank you for joining us on January 10th, 2024 for the 125th anniversary of the greatest fraternity on the planet, Tau Kappa Epsilon. My name is Donnie Aldrich. I am honored to serve as the Chief Executive Officer of both Tau Kappa Epsilon and the TKE Foundation. Whether you're joining us and live streaming from a Founders Day event, maybe you're joining us from home, or you're a frauder, a collegiate frauder who's at your home chapter right now, sitting in the house, tuning into us, thank you for joining us on this historic evening. As you saw in our opening, our history has been a winding path. Many challenges that we've had to overcome. The fraternity during World War II was in a very challenging position, but has come out stronger from the leadership of many folks, a couple that you're going to hear from this evening. And it's all been a focus in championing our mission. How do we build better men for a better world? How do we set up men to be better men because they spent time in the greatest fraternity on the planet, Tau Kappa Epsilon? We are also getting near a number of historic markers that we're going to cover this evening, including our 300,000th initiate. With that in mind, I want to get right to our special guests. The first guest that we have is a 1981 initiate of the Omicron chapter at Ohio State University. He served as Grand Pi Lordstes in 1995 and served as Chief Executive Officer from 1996 to 2000. He's received the Order of the North, a Grand Prytanis Award, the Order of the Silver Maple Leaf, and in 2015 was the recipient of the highest award in Tau Kappa Epsilon, the Order of the Golden Eagle. Please welcome Frauder Tim Murphy. Frauder Murphy, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Frauder. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I wanted to spend some time with you this evening, and the questions I wanted to talk about are really around the broad impact that Tau Kappa Epsilon has had. We've got so many folks that are joining us, and we believe this is the largest attendance we've had in one of our online events. I'm so excited for the hundreds and hundreds of people who have joined us tonight. But to talk about not just the impact that Tau Kappa Epsilon has had and the members itself, but how we have expanded that. When you think about the Shriners, you think about the Masons, Kiwanis, the German Corps, an organization that many folks don't know Tau Kappa Epsilon has had ties to. Can you talk about that broad impact? Because you have been an ambassador for our organization, not just within TKE, but far outside.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Donnie. The fraternity world is a very different and interesting place, as you know. And the Masonic fraternity, for example, is a fraternal society, very much like TKE. 800 years older, but a lot like TKE. We have chapters, they're called lodges. We have appendant bodies like the Shrine and the Scottish Rite. And there are leaders in TKE who have occupied top positions in all of those organizations. I'm going to guess that maybe there have been, over time, 250 frauders who have served as potentate of their shrine temple, which is like being Prytanis of the chapter. And I know 30 of them right now. And 3 of them actually just now went out of office. So we've had huge impacts in the Scottish Rite organization of Masonry. One of the fun ones is the Weinheimer Senior Convent over in Germany. It's headquartered in Weinheim, Deutschland. The WSC for short, Weinheimer Chorstudenten. And it's about 60 cores, which are like chapters. Only everybody has their own ritual. They have their own coat of arms. They have their own everything. They just are bound together by a code, as it were, a group of guiding principles. So how Teak got involved in this goes back to 1997, when I get a phone call out of the blue from a gentleman named Gert Junkers-Lomach, who is actually, his family owned the Junkers Aircraft Corporation in Germany. And he was very active with not only his home corps, which is Corps Franconia Darmstadt, but the whole, he's a national leader. And he said, I read everything I could about TKE, and I wanted to see if we could put together a program where we could swap our students across the pond for purposes of study. So we did just that. We put together a commission of volunteers, and we basically were able to, when a German student wanted to come here, if we had a Teak chapter where they were going, then we could take that person in, house him for the 6 or 8 weeks, whatever it was going to be. And then those fellows over there did the same for our folks. We've actually swapped out about maybe 25 students since then, going each way. And we can still do that today. It's very simple how it works. Somebody decides they want to go to Germany for their study. Just let me know, or let one of you know. You can call me, and then I call my fellows over there, and then they start making the phone calls, and that's how that all works. So, and it's been really successful, and it's been fun to do, and I hope we can continue to do that.
Well, and I appreciate why we wanted to have you as our initial speaker in this phenomenal evening is really just to talk about the broad scope of TKE, because we all join in a local chapter, and that is our bubble and where we learn about the organization, unless of course you're an honorary member. And so folks like us that are lucky to start to engage with folks from other chapters, or even as you have folks from other countries, just shows the far-reaching impact. And we know we have folks tonight from around the globe that are joining us, not just in the United States,
right?
Not just even in Canada, people outside of North America who are joining us. And it just shows the amazing impact of TKE. The other question that I had for you, I am blessed to serve in this role on this historic moment, for 125 years. You were the CEO when we celebrated the centennial. You saw the opening video in Frater Romig.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience for you 25 years ago, celebrating the 100th anniversary of TKE?
I sure can.
A great story you might want to share with the folks who are joining us.
Well, yeah, I tell you, I became CEO in 1996. And of course, we had this party to pull off in 1999. And so it was July 96 when I first started. And Mike Moxley came into my office, and Frater Moxley's been an active volunteer forever. And he was chairing, he's the volunteer chair of the Centennial. We started meetings with Todd Farmer and Joe Strawn and myself and Michael every Tuesday morning, starting in 1997. Every Tuesday morning at a coffee shop where we got the whole thing planned out. It took us a couple of years, but that was our absolute ritual to do that. And it all came together. We had a wonderful production company. We had 7 cities that were tied together by satellite. And Mike Moxley said to me 10 minutes before we're to go live, with the entire satellite thing, he said, you know, it just occurred to me that if a major national incident occurs right now, we're done because the networks are going to take the satellite back.
That's right.
So anyway, it went off without a hitch. We had some wonderful guests, Fraters from around the country got to enjoy it in various site locations with big monitors, and it was just a really, really super fun time. Charles Walgreen showed up in Bloomington, and he and his wife, and he was just kind of sitting out in the lobby and having some snacks and some drinks with the undergraduates that came to visit. So it was just a really solid, fun fraternal event. It was a great fraternal evening.
Well, thank you so much for being here on this great fraternal evening. I know we're gonna have a lot of conversations about Conclave, and I know how excited you are about Conclave.
Oh, yes.
That is really gonna be our celebration of the 125th down at Ponte Vedra Beach in Florida. But thank you for being here this evening. Look forward to having a toast with you when we end our
Absolutely.
evening.
Thank you, Frater.
Thank you, Frater.
Have a great night.
Second guest that we have is a 1954 initiate of the Beta Theta chapter at the University of Missouri. He was chief executive officer of the fraternity from 1960 to 1973. He served as Grand Prytanis from 1987 to 1989. He's a national expansion leader as the man who took Tau Kappa Epsilon to Canada. He's received the Southern Order of Honor. He has received 2 Grand Prytanis awards, both in 2003 and 2015, the Order of the Silver Maple Leaf, and in 2003 was awarded the Order of the Golden Eagle. He's a friend, he's a mentor, he's someone we still have lunch every 6 or 8 weeks together, where he is continuing to give me his advice and his wisdom and how we continue to move the fraternity forward. Someone who has lived in this fraternity for over 7 decades, an absolute legend. Please welcome Frater Bruce Melchert.
Hey,
Frater Bruce.
hey, Frater,
How are
thank
you,
you.
sir?
I'm fine. What I have to remind you is that this is a cold night in January.
It is.
You know, and when I and the founders were hanging around together, and then Joe Love showed up late, you know, we had
You had to be the first Sagamon?
Yeah, it was the first place.
What was it like when you wrote the Declaration of Principles?
Well, it was it was good. It was fun.
I want to
We had
thank
a good
you
time.
for taking a few minutes for the folks who are joining us, and so many people who are joining us online have interacted with you and engaged with you and know your infectious personality and your deep passion for recruitment. I would love to hear, and I'm sure the folks at home would love to hear, 7 decades in the fraternity. What are memories? What are influential moments in your life from the span? You have been chief CEO, you have been Grand Prytanis, you've really done it all. And what's that experience? If you had to sum that up in a few short words on this historic day, what would you say?
I can give you a speech if you want a speech, but if you don't want that. It was fun. It was instructional. It was educational, and so on. And I met a lot of not the founders. I didn't really know the founders that well at all, as a matter of fact. And I didn't even know John Love, but I knew those that followed. And they set a tone for us to follow. And that's where we all fell in line and so on. And so it was a matter of working with the fraternity, working with the chapters, working with individuals and the staff. We had some great staff people down the years, and that to keep your chief up and go. You know, that's it. That was so. I met a lot of people during the years.
So I wanted to ask you about that.
Time.
You've met a lot of
We
famous teaks, a
had-
lot of folks that people have either read about, heard about. Can you tell us a quick story about Frater Reagan? You've been lucky enough to know him during his time as president, before even his time as governor.
Well, I knew Frater Reagan back when he was governor, and he was even before that, because we did a Fraternity for Life film for TKE, and he was in the USC chapter house.
Those were on VHS, right? For those folks,
that's right.
we might have to do a quick instructional of what
Have to
VHS
find
tapes
those.
are.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But he narrated that film for us, and it was great. It was great for recruiting for many years. And Frater Reagan is one funny guy. He told one story after another, you know, and he did this over the years. And on the campaign trail, sometimes it was a little off color, perhaps, but they were great. They were on target. But he was a beautiful guy, and he was a dedicated T. He believed in TKE from the word go. He wrote checks every year to the foundation, and was just a trooper. He was a real frater.
Thank you for sharing that. Are there any folks out there in all the hundreds of teaks, thousands of teaks that you've engaged with, any superstar teaks out there that maybe aren't in the teak guide? Folks that maybe don't get as much love and attention. There's so many, as we know, great volunteers that some of them are watching us tonight that do great work, but the masses don't hear about them.
I don't know how many KOAs we have. Those are Knights of Apollo. Those are guys who were part of our team during the years, and they gave their all to perform and to make the team work right. And those are the guys that are really the guys that have really worked hard for the club. Now, we've got a lot of volunteers, of course. Jim Logan and Russell Salisbury and all of these others who are Grand FI Prytanis, but all volunteers who have contributed so much. So it's all been great.
Well, so many folks out there watching today. What excites you about TKE today? You're still engaged. You served for many, many years as the chairman of the nominations committee at Conclave and helping to lead in who is slated to be the leadership of Tau Kappa Epsilon and serve on the Grand Council. As I shared, you and I continue to be involved, and you're always continuing to ask, how are we doing in recruitment, and continue to push, and how can we do better and be better? What excites you about TKE today?
I get up every morning and ask, where do we stand and where are we going? And are we going to have more chapters? Are we going to have better chapters? Are we going to have increasing activities going on with TKE to keep us the leading fraternity in the world? That's where I think.
Well, you're an absolute legend. We are blessed that you continue to stay engaged. Everything you've done over 7 decades, I know I'm speaking for thousands and thousands and thousands of men who've been honored and blessed to be in your presence. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I want to thank Frater Bruce and Frater Tim. We will bring them back into our program as we near its end. But next, I want to introduce a RLC promotion. The RLC season will start here when we get to February, and Frater Joey Criswanos has a few words to share on RLC.
Hey Teak Nation, Joey Criswanos, Director of Health and Education for Tau Kappa Epsilon here with a few tidbits about RLC 2024 quickly approaching next month. If you've already registered, I truthfully look forward to seeing you next month. If you have not registered yet, there is still time over the next week. If you go to teak.org/RLC, you will be able to find out about those registration opportunities in the city of your choosing. RLC February is special, as this is your one opportunity to meet with fellow frauders from your region, TKE staff, the Grand Council, to meet with them, to greet with them, to ask them the questions that are on your mind so you can get the best answers possible to take back to your chapter for success. You get the ability to hear from the most dynamic speakers that TKE has to offer on topics that are most relevant to you, fraternity men, and the college landscape of men today. I highly suggest that you register today if you have not. As I mentioned earlier, if you have, I do look forward to seeing you. This is the beginning of the 125th anniversary of the fraternity, and I cannot wait to celebrate it with you. Frauders, I love the fraternity, and go blue.
So as you heard there, and I'm sure our frauders from OCON really appreciate it, Frater Joey is a fan of Michigan and is very excited at the national championship that was just won by his Wolverines. It is now time for us to hear from the Venerable Grand Prytanis on this, again, historic and momentous evening, the Founders Day address for the 125th anniversary of Tau Kappa Epsilon. Frauders and guests, please welcome the Venerable Grand Prytanis, Frater Ryan Vescio.
Welcome to Auburn University, home of the Beta Lambda chapter, the largest current chapter in Tau Kappa Epsilon. You know, they do things big here in the South. We're coming back to the South as a family to reunite at our 62nd conclave in Ponte Verde Beach, just outside of Jacksonville, from August 1st to the 4th, 2024. At conclave, you'll learn more about how to operate, to recruit, and how to be safe around your chapters. You'll have the opportunity to engage with collegiates and alumni frauders in moments of brotherhood. And because we're celebrating the 125th anniversary, there'll be a few surprises in store for you. So I hope that you'll join me in my home state of Florida, August 1st to the 4th, as we celebrate the 125th anniversary of Tau Kappa Epsilon. In fact, you can register right now by going to teak.org/conclave. I hope to see you in Florida in August. In August 2019, at the 60th Conclave in my hometown of Orlando, Florida, I shared the quote, "A people without their knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." So every January 10th, we come together to celebrate our beloved Tau Kappa Epsilon, and in doing so, reflect not only on the founding of our fraternity, but the promises we have made and our focus on the future direction of the fraternity. Those of us fortunate enough to call ourselves frauders know the story of Settles, McNutt, Mayer, Truitt, and Atkinson, wanting to create something better than what was available for themselves and other college men to follow. Like many of us first-generation college students, I exemplified the TKE spirit before we ever learned of the fraternity, which would forever become a part of our lives. As I shared before, my journey was one of wanting better than living in a double-wide trailer and wondering how to provide for my family. My adventure in Tau Kappa Epsilon provided a family to me in a place where I was all alone, in an environment that was not part of my family's origin story or culture. At the University of South Carolina and later at the University of Central Florida, I drew off the history of my chapters and frauders to develop those roots. The fraternity gives us an opportunity to make lifelong connections that better our lives. For those of you who have joined the fraternity for life, you have learned that these deep connections often occur after our collegiate days. For me, one of the deepest connections in the fraternity started in 2013 with meeting past Grand Prytanis Ted Bereswell, who entered the chapter Eternal on August 13th of 2023. Ted and I had humble backgrounds and embraced the opportunity to find something better for our lives. Ted, who initiated at the Gamma Upsilon chapter on the University of Texas campus before I was even born, utilized the relationships and experiences in his collegiate chapter to reach some of the highest echelons of business. Ted's success changed the trajectory of his life and the lives of his wife, Kim, daughters Allison and Becky, and his first grandson and future TKE frauder, Bennett. Ted loved to mention hope is not a strategy, that we can be fortunate in our defeats, and to exemplify a spirit that does not shrink from sacrifice, that knows no defeat, a spirit indomitable. Despite facing challenges, both personal and professional this past year, my life was enhanced due to my relationship with T and Ted. Ted's family invited me, along with Ted's fellow Gamma Upsilon frauders and best friends, past Grand Officer Brian Montgomery and Jack Bobbitt, to speak at his celebration of life in Houston. The invitation has been one of the greatest honors I've had as Grand Prytanis, and reminded me that TKEs bring people together with different histories, origins, and cultures, for the good of our fraternity, for the good of our fellow frauders, and for our own good, allowing us to live in the spirit of true brotherhood in our fraternity for life. A part of my history came full circle in early October while facing an ongoing serious illness. Most of my life, my father was ill and passed in 2003, a few days before his 44th birthday. On October 3rd, I became older than my father when he passed. Since I've last spoke to you in my 2023 Founders Day address, I've faced several serious issues requiring me to draw on my faith, family, and fraternity. Without the support of my wife, Heather, my children, and my fraternal relationships, I don't know how I would be here today to speak with all of you. I know many of you have similar circumstances in your lives, and you have both survived and thrived due in part to TKE and the common bond that gives us strength and resolve. As we celebrate this 125th anniversary, I ask that you consider sharing with each other and the fraternity what TKE has given you in your life. You can share this with your local chapter, alumni association, on our social media chapters, and with me personally at ryanvescio@gmail.com. Witnessed through our profiles of 125 influential TKEs this year, our fraternity has impacted all aspects of our world. Ambassadors Donald Tapia, Ryan Crocker, Senator Richard Stone, Daniel Levinson, and Gary Dorr have represented their respective countries around the world. Nobel Prize winners Paul Greenwood, Dr. William Fowler, Daniel McFadden, and Ken Brockman led innovation to change our world. Entrepreneurs Mark Benioff, Conrad Hilton, Paul Orpheus, Dan Mead, and Charles Walgreen formed and led companies that have impacted our world. Frauders Dr. Stephen Cohen, Edward and William DeVry, Dr. Fred Carter, Earl Harbison Jr. and Elmer Smith have contributed to, led, and innovated at higher learning institutions across the country. Philanthropists like our current TKE Foundation Chairman James Crocker, Thomas Cohn, and Raymond Chambers have changed their communities through their giving of their time, talent, and treasure. Frauders General Earl Edward Anderson, Major General and current Grand Council member Chuck Whittington Jr., and retired Navy Captain, POW, and ex-Executive Vice President of TKE, Bill Metzger, have dedicated their lives to protecting the freedoms that make America the beacon of hope, prosperity, and safety for those worldwide. While it is important to celebrate our past, we look forward towards the future. TKE has been a leader throughout our existence in doing and being more for our members, our campuses, and communities. And over these next 125 years, this will not change. To accomplish this, allow me to share the vision of our Grand Council on how we will continue to do so in the future. Through the challenges established over 50 years ago by Frauder Danny Thomas, TKEs have committed to supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to further Frauder Thomas's goal of ending childhood cancer. Since 2009, we have raised over $8.5 million for the hospital. I'm proud to announce that we will continue to grow our relationship with St. Jude, and in the coming year, we will have exciting announcements relating to strengthening this partnership. Several years ago, TKE left the North American Interfraternity Conference so that we could directly control our direction for the future within the fraternal world. Over the past few years, TKE has championed a more educated grand chapter and best practices of risk management and a safer experience for our members and guests. We were the first fraternal organization to have a certified Title IX investigator, Chief Risk Officer Frauder Gregory Roscoff, on our staff to help establish, monitor, and enforce top standards and practices in risk management. Frauder Roscoff and Director of Health and Education, Joey Kryzwanos, have not only reduced risk management incidents year after year, but have also introduced resources focused on the safety and welfare to enhance the safety of our college members. Working together over the next several years, a range of new initiatives will be introduced, spanning areas such as education, marketing, and apparel. We will continue to grow the fraternity at a substantial pace, not only returning to historic chapters, but also looking to establish chapters at new institutions. A great example of the commitment of our fraternity to grow is here at the Beta Lambda chapter at Auburn University. Like our 5 founders, 5 men here at Auburn embraced excellence to create a brighter tomorrow through resurrecting the chapter. Their work has led to building the largest current chapter in TKE Nation with a total of 192 collegiate frauders, strengthened with the recent initiation of 67 new frauders this fall. This past year, we have seen a dedication to Frauder Melchert's spirit through explosive recruitment at chapters such as San Diego State, the University of Southern California, James Madison, Louisiana State, and Louisiana Tech. Auburn University has a special place in the heart of past Grand Prytanis in Order of the Golden Eagle recipient, Dr. William Muse. Frauder Muse, a former president here at Auburn, based his doctoral dissertation on the relationship between the success of a social fraternity and its adherence to business management practices and principles. A focus on these principles has led our fraternity to survive the COVID pandemic and each year grow larger. On both the collegiate and international levels, sound business practices and financial responsibility will continue to make our fraternity stronger. Following the example of these frauders allows us to extend the honor of membership to the next generation of frauders who will influence our fraternity and the world while allowing us to reconnect with alumni frauders across TKE Nation. The TKE Foundation, under the leadership of Chairman James Crocker and Chief Executive Officer Donald Aldrich, is reaching new heights in achieving fundraising success for the fraternity. We need additional financial resources to do everything we want and provide the fraternal experience that our current and future college frauders deserve. Today, frauders who either pause giving or who have never previously given are approaching the fraternity and wanting to help. I ask you to consider joining this effort in expanding our mission, demonstrating how we make better men for a better world. I want to thank those who have consistently contributed to the TKE Foundation. Our foundation board of directors stewards every dollar that you give support to our collegiate frauders through scholarship awards, the education of chapters through the allocation of special projects funds, and financial assistance to the fraternity for leadership programming, such as regional leadership conferences, Conclave, and TKE Leadership Academy. If you are a frauder who has never given, let today be the day you protect and provide our future by visiting tke.org/donate. Frauders Crocker, Aldrich, and I are always here to discuss how you can continue to support our continuing efforts to be innovative and impactful for years to come. Finally, it is our goal to commit to the most fundamental aspects of our common brotherhood. At their initiation, hundreds of thousands of frauders have made the same promises to develop their individual abilities and contribute them to each other with respect and understanding. Today, we face similar issues that our founders faced that call on us to examine our place in the world and how we can contribute our skills and values to make our world safer and more prosperous for our family and future frauders. The principles of love, charity, and esteem that nearly 300,000 frauders have committed to since those 5 extraordinary men met in a small room in Bloomington, Illinois 125 years ago tonight serves as the most fitting blueprint for this mission. As we mark this occasion, never give up on your faith, family, fraternity, and loved ones. Never give up on the pursuit of happiness for life and for our beloved Tau Kappa Epsilon. Frauders, I love the fraternity.
Welcome back here live at the offices of the Grand Chapter. I want to echo the end of the Founders Day message and thanking our hosts at Auburn University. They were tremendous. They really rolled out the welcome mat to myself, the Venerable Grand Prytanis, and our entire team to film a very, very special message. I'm honored to now bring in live from his home in Florida, the Venerable Grand Prytanis of Tau Kappa Epsilon, Frater Ryan Vescio.
Good evening.
It is great to hear you. Great to see you from Orlando, Florida. A couple questions that I want to ask you. First, thank you for an inspiring message on our 125th birthday. Can you share with the folks who are listening in, what is the current work of the Grand Council and the focus and strategy towards the next strategic plan? So currently, for folks who aren't aware, we are near the completion of a strategic plan that expires on 2025. And we're currently working on a new strategic plan and vision towards 2030. Can you highlight for the folks the work that's going on with the council? If I'm a member out there, what can I expect? What's next? Where are we going?
It's an exciting time in TKE. And, first of all, thank you for everybody being here tonight. It's a great day to be at TKE on this 125th anniversary. As we look to the future, there's a couple of areas that are of the utmost importance so that we can embrace our history and be better than we ever have before. The first aspect is maximizing financial and membership growth. For the first time in a number of years, the Grand Chapter is about to have more than 10,000 collegiates, and with strength comes power. So as we continue to expand to old chapters and new, we're growing our footprint across all of North America, and in doing so, helping our men contribute to their communities and their campuses. One thing that we are focusing on are opportunities for collegiates and alumni after college life. One of the goals of the new plan is going to be to expand outreach, mentoring, and networking opportunities. With almost 300,000 men having taken the bond of Tau Kappa Epsilon, there are thousands and thousands of our alumni who want to give back to their chapters and to their fraternity. And as we continue in the next couple of years, we're excited to establish networking and mentoring programs. One thing that's very important to me personally is supporting our diversity and inclusion initiatives. And as we continue to demonstrate the diversity of our college campuses, the next strategic plan will continue to focus on ways that we can be a more diverse and fully inclusive organization. And finally, and more fundamentally, the new strategic plan will help us to demonstrate our mission of aiding men in their mental, moral, and social development for life. TKE has had a great history, but the best is yet to come.
Thank you, VGP. As you can see behind me, we have paintings of the 5 founders, and you reflect on 125 years ago, these 5 men founded the Knights of Classic Lore, and I'm sure they could never have, in their wildest dreams, imagined what TKE has become today. And a major reason for what TKE has become today is our volunteers, those who selflessly give in service to make our chapters and to make our members better. Can you talk about the critical nature of our volunteers?
You know, our volunteers are the backbone of the fraternity. Having previously served as both a province advisor and Grand Province advisor, I know firsthand the dedication and commitment that all of our volunteers have, driving hours across their province and across their country, putting on regional planning, helping chapters to expand, helping chapters to grow. You know, this fraternity would not have served and its members and survived this last 125 years without our volunteers. Tonight, I want to personally thank them for the service that they provide, for being the moral compass within our chapter.
Thank you, VGP. Grateful for your service and your leadership, all that you do day in and day out to make Tau Kappa Epsilon better. And on this very special anniversary, we're grateful to be under your leadership and look forward to seeing you next weekend for our first Grand Council meeting of 2024 as we continue to work towards the conclave and the 125th conclave, 125th anniversary conclave, where we will celebrate your tenure as Grand Prytanis. Thank you, VGP, for joining us tonight. We are speeding towards conclave, as I mentioned. Cannot wait to have you join us in Ponte Vedra Beach. Please enjoy a short video at what you will experience at conclave this summer. As you can see, it's going to be an amazing experience in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Many of you have attended a conclave. You know it is really the pinnacle of the TKE experience, an opportunity to engage with folks all over the continent, chance to engage and have your reunions with folks that maybe you haven't seen in a number of conclaves or maybe you haven't seen in decades. And so it is going to be a fun-filled week. a number of experiences that we're going to have at Conclave that I want to highlight. First, it is the capstone celebration of 125 years. Tonight is really the appetizer. This is the entree, the dessert, the after party, the cocktail after the after party. That is what Conclave is in terms of our celebration of 125 years of existence. We are going to have a golf tournament. It's been a number of years since we've had a golf tournament. We're going to have a golf tournament at Conclave. We're going to have it at the stadium course at TPC Sawgrass. So the same golf course that they're hosting the Players Championship here in March, we will be playing there the end of July. The more details, teak.org/conclave. You can go there and register right now for the golf tournament. We're excited to have you with us. We will have a brotherhood event, receptions. We are going to honor our donors to the Teak Foundation, folks who grant the resources to make it possible for us to advance our mission. We're going to give out awards, not just to top Teak awards to our chapters, but also the highest level of awards to our volunteers and to our alumni who've had distinguished service to our organization. There's going to be a number of reunions. We expect there's going to be road trips, folks jumping in a car and heading down to Florida and building memories, which is what this entire organization is about, memories and experiences. We also expect we're going to initiate our 300,000th member at this conclave, and it is going to be the world premiere of our 125th anniversary documentary, which we expect to be a phenomenal show that we're going to have at the grand inaugural to highlight 125 years of memories and moments that have impacted the world. So we hope that you join us. Conclave registration is live now. Once again, teak.org/conclave. Look forward to having you with us. Another exciting announcement tonight is our new TKE storefront. This is at TKEstore.com. We have worked hard to elevate a number of brands that we're able to bring into our store. We believe you need to have great swag, great gear out there when you're representing those three letters across your chest. And so some of the brands that you love are in our store currently, which include Johnny O, Under Armour, Travis Matthew, Callaway, and the North Face. What can you expect next? We're continuing to work with high-level brand partners that we're going to bring in additional gear for folks to enjoy and to showcase their love and passion for Tall Cap Epsilon. We expect an Amazon store to be opening in the future, as well as co-branded items. What are co-branded items? Co-branded items are items where you can have your college or university logo, as well as a TKE logo on a hat or another apparel item. Working with our new partners at the Collegiate Licensing Company, this is a really great benefit that we're excited to showcase and highlight for our membership. And we expect folks will then have the opportunity to attend homecomings and a number of other events to show off both their university pride and their Teak pride. So we hope that you please take the opportunity to visit us again at teakstore.com, TKEstore.com. As we're nearing the end of our time this evening, I want to thank you for the investment that you're making and honoring us by giving us a little bit of your time to celebrate TKE. And I want to highlight a vision for today and tomorrow. Where's the fraternity going and what are we doing? And our role as we move ahead is to build on a legacy of 125 years. There's a number of folks that I know either in the chat or folks that we saw on the registration list, folks that have been KOAs, that have served, that have operated in this building at 7439. Maybe they operated in our previous building over by the pyramids. Maybe they served in a previous administration, even when we were in Kansas City or even in Illinois, some of our previous headquarters, but have given selfless service to TKE to see it grow, to see it expand, and to see it thrive. And it's our work to make sure that that continues, to foster excellence and to push that in every single thing that we do. And there's certain aspects of the fraternity where we are creating and dominating and have a sense of excellence in what we achieve. There's other areas we got to get to work and they're still under construction, and we've got to continue to be honest with ourselves of where we got to get better. We got to take feedback from our constituents as well as the folks who are our critics to make sure that we are making this the best fraternity and giving our members the best experience. Whether you're 18 years old or you're 118 years old, the TKE is still serving you. We've got to continue to expand how we elevate our current groups. How do we serve those folks? Additional volunteers. We highlighted the volunteers during this time. They are absolutely critical to the experience that our collegiate members have. I know there's times where they might not seem as if they're as engaged, but I promise you, in the conversation that we were able to have, how much they appreciate your wisdom and your guidance and the passion that you give selflessly to them to showcase what TKA has meant to you, not just for those 4 or 5 years in college, but the fraternity for life and showcasing that throughout your lifetime. We're also going to continue to expand to campuses. been very successful and been very blessed over the last 5 years with some of the campuses that we have returned to. We're excited about future expansions. Last week, we found out that we're gonna be able to go back to the University of Utah, which I know is the home chapter of Pastor and Prytanis, Mark Johnson. He's beyond fired up that we're gonna be going back to the University of Utah here in the future. I know there's a number of chapters, and I'm sure the chat right now is fired up of people who say, bring back my chapter, bring back this chapter. And we want to be able to make that happen. We want to work with our university partners, make sure we have alumni who are engaged and invested in not only a board, but the resources we need to be able to build strong groups, not just a group that can start to build a spark, but a group that can be an eternal flame and to really live the mission, to inspire guys, to motivate folks, and to build them throughout their experience in TKE. And the last piece that we need to do is we need to deepen our training and our support for our volunteers. It's something that we have to continue to invest in. We cannot hire enough staff given how large and how vast Tau Kappa Epsilon is. And that's really a credit to all of you. It's a credit to the people who have served in leadership positions, that TKE is so broad. We had Bruce Melchert earlier, and he's a big reason why TKE is so vast and so broad. And so many of you know scores and scores and scores of frauders because we have expanded to all of these campuses. The only way that we can serve those folks in the best possible way is to have those local volunteers, those key men, as Dr. William V. Muse once stated in a dissertation on. To make all this happen, it's going to continue to take resources. Tonight, a number of things happened today. It's a very big day in the news besides celebrating our 125th birthday, but one of them is Nick Saban retired, which I know is going to make Frauder Joey happy because now he doesn't probably have to worry about the Tide as much. We'll see who they hire for a new coach. But Nick Saban, a phrase that he highlights many times is it takes what it takes. And it takes what it takes when it comes to our ability to deliver excellence and to promote and have volunteer training, to have a professional staff, and to put the work out there to inspire our men to excellence. It takes resources to make that happen. And as many of you know, we operate right now in the margins, and there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to engaging and investing in the TEAK Foundation and in our overall organization to take us to new heights. Just to give a little perspective, and this is the glorious aspect and the glorious opportunity within our fraternity. We have over 240,000 living alumni. So let's round it to 240, even though I believe it's 243 and change, but let's say it's 240,000 people. If you had every single member contribute $50 a year to the TEAK Foundation, so that's a little over $4 a month, we would raise $12 million annually. You might say, Donnie, that's not realistic. Okay, let's say half. If we had 120,000 members contribute $50 annually, we'd raise $6 million. Okay, that Donnie, 120,000, that's a lot of donors. Let's take half of that. If we had 60,000 folks contribute $100 a year, once again, we'd be at $6 million. Less than $10 a month, we'd be at $6 million annually. Our current foundation is just over $2 million annually. And why so many folks have worked tirelessly to get us to that position, and there's a lot of great work and a lot of tremendous people who have gotten us to that point. All of those folks would agree that is just the building block, just the very scratch of the surface of what is possible in this organization. Because we all know this, many of us grew up without many resources. Many of us grew up where we didn't even know if we'd go to college, and we sure never thought we'd join a fraternity. I know I joined scores and scores of you in that boat. But many of us have been successful in our careers and in our companies, whether it's a plumber, a police officer, a politician, someone who owns a small business, maybe someone like Mark Benioff that's been very, very successful in his professional career. We have a number of folks that can contribute, but it is really the capacity, the number of folks making those contributions at whatever level that they can, that is going to take us to where we want to go. And frankly, the future that our members deserve. And so I appreciate you considering that on this Founders Day, on this 125th birthday, to make a commitment to moving us to another level, because the foundation really does give us that baseline. The word foundation, it's very key. That it is the foundation of this organization and what we can do, the amount of folks that we can serve. I'd love for you to consider on this day making a contribution to Life Loyal TEAK. Many of you have heard of the Life Loyal TEAK program and the great work that now in the chapter Eternal, Pastor and Prytanis, Frauder Bob Plank, he really championed this program. This program has become really the unrestricted fund of the TEAK Foundation. And why does that matter? Why would we want folks to support Life Loyal TEAK? Well, first, it makes the broadest impact in the organization. Secondly, it gives us the most flexibility. So we can not only invest in our leadership programs, we can also invest in our people. And we got a number of you that either run companies or you're an employee in a high-level company. You know how critical it is that you have the right people on board. And we should have pride in that. I'm blessed and honored to have a tremendous team around us. And that takes investment of those folks to go out and do the great work of the fraternity, continue to spread the gospel of TKE, and to grow this organization where it needs to be. So a contribution to Life Little Teak does many things. It allows us to invest in these leadership programs, and we need to have more leadership programs. Let me tell you, we're excited. We're going to have probably just over 1,400 folks attend our 4 regional leadership conferences, but we're growing the fraternity to about 11,500 members this year. And we expect that's going to get to 12,500 and possibly 13,500. You think as you continue to grow the organization, those types of heights, we have to have programs to not just serve those 1,400 folks, but how can we have programs to serve 3,000 folks, 4,000 folks? You think about some of our competitors, they have a Prytanis Academy. A lot of our competitors have a recruitment camp where we can grab all of our leaders in TKE, all the folks, the young Bruce Melcherts that are coming up, the young Tim Murphys who want to be out there and get excited about TKE and get more and more men to change their lives by taking our bond. We've got to invest in that opportunity and make sure that we have those types of programs to deliver and to make us all better. So I appreciate that. And in the spirit of Founders Day, in the spirit of the 125th anniversary, you see this lapel pin that I'm wearing to honor our anniversary. For any frauder that gives $125 during this entire calendar year towards Life Little Teak, we will send you one of these commemorative pins as a thank you for your commitment and your gift to TKE. If you're someone who's not made a contribution to Life Little Teak, you will not only receive this lapel pin, you'll also receive the Life Little Teak lapel pin that many of us wear with pride. And if you join us at Conclave or at an RLC, you'll see many folks wearing that as well. Again, if you want to make a contribution, you want to support TKE, please go to teak.org/donate. You're going to see an opportunity, and one of the drop-down menus there will be on areas of greatest need. We ask you to leave it on that place, and that is where you can make the greatest impact to TKE in advancing our mission to aid men in their mental, moral, and social development for life. Thank you again for considering. As we wrap up this evening, I want to bring back in my 2 special guests, Frauder Tim Murphy and Frauder Bruce Melchert. If you will join me here back in the shot. We hand you a drink here. We labeled tonight a toast to TKE, and we wouldn't be proper teaks if we didn't raise a glass and highlight not only the 5 men behind us, but all of the giants that have come after to make Tau Kappa Epsilon possible. The folks, local chapters, volunteers, folks that have served on committees and worked their butt off to make sure that this night was possible.
Here, here.
I quickly, as we get ready to raise glass, I do want to give a quick thank you to Alex Baker, Joey Quizwanos, Greg Roscoff, and Aaron Dawes, who helped to produce our video. Great person from Master One, a company out of Atlanta that is actually going to join TKE when we have the RLC in Atlanta. So he will become a frauder in the bond. I want to thank everyone out there who's been a part of this evening and is going to be a part of our future. Frauders, we love the fraternity. Cheers to Tau Kappa Epsilon.
Cheers.
Cheers. Frauders, thank you for joining us tonight. We love you, Teak family. Enjoy the evening. Good night.